Welcome to Ways and Wanderings, the Beginning, a journey of the Wanderhome RPG here on the Bardic Inspiration Network. I go by many different names on the internet. Sometimes I'm called Brent, sometimes I'm called Dorklord Canada, but today I will simply be your guide on this journey through the lands of Haith. Like all good journeys, I'm not going to do this alone. We have assembled a wonderful team of players and actors for you, and I would love for them to introduce themselves right now. So, Abaddon, why don't we start with you, and then you can throw it to whoever you like. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I am Abaddon Kilbride IV. I am the creator and showrunner of Exquisite Corpse Presents, a home for unusual TTRPGs. And today I will be playing Raffia, who is just excited to be here, just like I am. And I am going to throw it to Wowzers.
Hi, I'm Wowzers. My pronouns are she, her. Today I will be playing Briar, a raven. Pronouns also she, her. And I'll throw it to Jess.
Hey y'all, I am Jess. You can find me on places on the internet at Jess the Human with one S. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and you can find me and Wowzers on the Fangang podcast. It's a Vampire the Masquerade podcast. Today I am going to be playing Melage. She uses she, her pronouns, and I am popcorning up to my twin in the gray, Anne.
Hi, my name is Anne. You can find me on Twitter at XO_GirlWonder. I am a TTRPG performer, a community ambassador for Girls Run These Worlds, a woman and femme-centered TTRPG content creation community. My pronouns are she, her. I will be playing Sparkle the kangaroo, whose pronouns are also she, her. And last but not least, Chrissy.
Hi, I'm Chrissy, Chrissy and Keller in all the internet spaces, and I am going to be playing Lark, the very vulpine dancer, and I am super stoked.
Outstanding. In addition to our wonderful cast of players, we could not bring this to you alone. We could not embark on this journey on our own without the support of some wonderful people out in the tabletop role-playing community. I would like to give a thank you to all of our sponsors. Possum Creek Games, first of all, for giving us some beautiful art assets that you will have seen in the intro and you will see in the outro. Ratty Incantati, which is a online distributor of independent tabletop role-playing games out of Oshawa, Ontario. Greenleaf Dice, creators of custom dice sets, as well as dice sets and accessories, and the creator and distributor of the Adventure Calendar, which is a yearly item that they bring on, and of course the Canadian Library of Role-Playing Games, with a mandate to promote the study and play of TTRPGs, old, new, and everywhere in between. Without further ado, let's talk a little bit about the world that we're going to inhabit. The Wanderhome RPG is set in the land of Haith. Haith is a very beautiful and robust, expansive world. If you need like sort of a media contact, think of Studio Ghibli, think of those sorts of worlds. That is really the touchstone for this. While there are certain things that we are going to build together as a team about the world, there are certain things about the land of Haith that are constants. These are the things that we know to be true. So Haith is a beautiful and boundless land, full of life and soul. Haith is a land of animal folk. You may have already gotten a sense of that. Because Haith is a land of animal folk, All of the things that we would normally think of as livestock, pets, wild creatures, those are insects take the place of all of those. So there will be large beetles pulling wagons. There will be flocks of fuzzy bumbles. There will be people will keep little caterpillars as pets, that sort of thing. Haith boasts a widespread culture of hospitality. So our journeyers can expect a warm welcome wherever they go. They will not be a shock or a surprise to anybody when they end up there. In the land of Haith, we'll also be meeting people who are fundamentally good. That doesn't mean that they don't have their struggles, but everyone that we are going to encounter is, at their heart, a good person. They just might be having a bad day when you encounter them. In fact, our cast of characters could be having a bad day. That's something that we'll get to play out. And the last thing is that Haithland was recently in a war, but is no longer. There is no violence here anymore. The war is past. And so it is safe once again to travel and to journey to new places and explore new opportunities. Speaking of safety, there are a number of safety tools that are both outside of the game that we have agreed to use, and a number of ones that are built into the game. So the ones that we have agreed to use outside of the game are lines and veils, the X card, and the open table. So lines and veils means that if something is a line, it will not show up in the game. If something is a veil, we may reference it, but it will never be the main focus of any of the action. And these are things that we determined as a group ahead of coming to talk about all of you. So I'm not going to go over the specifics of those. We've all looked at that sheet and we all understand sort of where the lines are for each other. The one item is the X card. In case there is anything that we missed on the lines or veils, or anything that just comes up in play that might be distressing to us, that will be a way for the players to communicate with me that we need to stop, either by putting an X in our chat, or making an X on screen. That could be as simple as holding up fingers and making an X, or literally drawing an X on a piece of card and just showing it on screen. And the last one is the open table. If at any point somebody needs to leave the table for any reason, they can just go. No questions asked. Hopefully we can check in later and make sure you're okay. But player safety is paramount, and you don't have to stay somewhere that you don't feel comfortable or safe. All of that said, Wanderhome has a number of their own safety tools, which they refer to as journeying tools. As it turns out, there are 6 of us here and 6 journeying tools. So I'm going to pass to Abaddon to describe the first one.
The first journeying tool is let's do this instead. Sometimes on a journey, you'll reach an impasse where continuing down a particular path will put you in danger or discomfort. You are always empowered to speak up, say, let's do this instead, and provide an alternate path through the situation. If someone else doesn't want to do that, we can work together to figure out where to go next. So as an example, you can say, let's take the safer path instead, or let's not talk about this right now. Let's change the topic. Or let's not have my character lose this thing that they care about. Instead, I'm going to let go of something I don't mind losing.
And then next, we are going to discuss the next journeying tool, which is do we want to? When you're journeying, it's polite to ask before traveling into uncharted territory. If someone asks, do we want to? It means that they're interested in going somewhere new and potentially hazardous, and they want everyone's buy-in first. If you don't want to go there with them, you have every right to say so, perhaps by offering something else instead, and a conversation can avoid that area. You know, for example, do you want to talk about what just happened? Do we want to grapple with the themes of health in our journey? Do we want to have trauma in my character's backstory?
All right, and that leaves me. I'm up next with where to next. Sometimes when we journey together, we might be lost or stuck, and this happens all the time, and we might feel like we have nowhere to go from here, or that maybe that we have to keep sitting in the mud. Whenever we feel like that's happening, we can just ask, where to next? And go where seems best. Perhaps we're at a fork in the road. Where to next? I think this is a good spot to cut away from this scene. Where to next? And lastly, so it feels like we're stuck in a rut, and we should probably talk about what kind of journey we want this to be. Where to next?
You're muted, Chrissy.
I am so sorry. One of the safety tools I personally use is muting myself so my dog doesn't scare people and give them jump scares. I'm going to be talking about what do you think? When I walk with friends, I tend to move a little bit slower and need more time than they do. In those moments, just as with all journeys, we often need people to look around and spot those who could use a bit of focus and more space to express themselves and breathe. Keep an eye out for people who seem to be talking less than you are and check in with them by asking, what do you think? There's a couple different paths we could take. What do you think we should do? I was considering this nature for our place, but I feel like I've been talking a lot. What do you think it should be? I've been the focus of too much lately. What do you think about a moment where you're with your character in the shopkeep?
And that leaves me with my tool is hold on. We all need to take breaks. Sometimes it's because we've been journeying for a while and we need some water, or it's because we want to go back and look at something from earlier, or maybe something that happened that hurt us and we need to tackle it. Hold on is something we can always say to halt what's happening and switch gears to another topic. Hold on, before we travel to the village, I need to use the bathroom. Or hold on, I want to cut back to the scene with the fisher. I still have more I want to say. Or hold on, what happened earlier made me feel minimized and spoken over, and we should talk about it.
Excellent. And we will finish up with my safety tool, my journeying tool, which is simply no. No is always an appropriate response. It is a complete sentence. It does not require explanation. Although explanation can be helpful, it is a complete sentence on its own. If anyone feels uncomfortable at any point, if anyone feels that the path that we're taking is simply not good, someone can just say no, and we will immediately think of another way to go. So, all right. So we talked about the things in Haith that are constants, that are always there. But this is a narrative-driven game, and it's driven by all of us. So we need to talk about the things about your journey that are special to this game. Now, some of these questions are things that, because we are streaming this game to you, we have sort of already thought about. I'm going to mention the question anyway, but we're going to talk about the fact that, well, we've sort of made that decision. So that is, in fact, the case with the first question. How long are we expecting this journey to last, if we have any expectations at all? And in this case, this journey will last for this recording and next week's recording. So we will endeavor to tell you a warm, endearing, entertaining story in that time. The next question, however, is a very important one for us to all sort of talk through and answer. Do we want a more pastoral and upbeat journey, or do we want a world that lingers more heavily on trauma and recovery? And they phrase these questions as if they're like sort of diametrical opposites, but I think the idea is that we can land, we can blend, we can land anywhere in between those two. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So what do y'all think?
I love light games.
This is the first character I think that I've ever built that doesn't have any sort of trauma in her backstory. So I'm down to explore somebody else's if they would like to do that. I have no problem with that. However, I don't have any to put to the table for one.
Chrissy, I love that for you. I do. And I was thinking, okay, so there are people at this table that have not worked with me. So I would like to disclose this at this point where I will start off thinking something like, I want this to be a lighthearted game with, a happy-go-lucky character, and then somewhere along the way, oops, feelings happened. So I don't think it'll be like super deep into trauma or anything, but I run the risk of having heartfelt things. So, but I do like the idea of having a more upbeat tone.
Yeah, I think of Wander
that are just like super happy too. So I'm cool with that. I feel like there's enough people with like sad backstories, and I don't know. I like the idea of everybody just being like, we're happy and that's okay. I don't have to be traumatized. I don't have to be like dark and deep to be good.
I mean, I wouldn't say that my character is traumatized, but she does feel things a lot. So
yeah. I mean, I think if Wanderhome had like an unofficial subtitle, it would be "Oops, all feelings." So,
who haven't we heard from?
That would be me. I am okay either way. I love upbeat games, but I also understand that sometimes the story takes us down avenues we didn't think that it would. So, I'm happy either way.
Okay. So it sounds like we want to be a little bit, at least initially, a little bit more upbeat and happy, but we're leaving the door open for feelings to come strolling in at some point if that's appropriate. Okay. I love everything about that. So the next question is, do we want a more personal journey focused on mundane issues and quandaries? Or do we want a more tangled journey filled with mysterious and magical forces? And this is the question where you get to decide, just how much magic is there in the world, really? Is it just the, wow, sunrises are magical? Or like, are there literal gods that like hang about and want your attention? What do y'all think?
The idea of my wiener dog being able to learn magic is very alluring to me.
Magical wiener dog. I mean, when you put it that way, I feel like the journey will be magical. That the journey of your character finding that magic would be magical in and out of itself.
I want to be a magic tea raccoon. I want that very badly, just for myself to have.
I want to have little magic sparkles going around my character while she dances. So yes.
Okay.
I want magic. Pretty unanimous.
All right.
I mean, I definitely think that magic exists. I think my character is the one character that either doesn't know it or starts off not believing in it at first. But I think it definitely should exist for the benefit of everyone else who's like, woo, magic.
Okay. So, I mean, perhaps the magic that exists in the world isn't the grand, or maybe it was. Maybe that was the war that happened, was the grand magical big spells and all the rest of that. And now the magic that exists in the world is just simple things. Being able to make your hands sparkle when you want to, and being able to make teas that, actually soothe people and make them feel different things or fall in love or
That's a cool idea.
great. Filing all that away for later. This is another question that we have already answered just on the basis, but I did want to ask it and talk about it a little bit because I think it's an important part of understanding how Wanderhome can be played. Do we want a single person to act as a guide, multiple rotating guides, or no guide at all? Again, we sort of settled on that. I am serving as a guide for this because this is the first time all of us have played it. And that isn't a bad way to play it the first time. It is a very standard and accepted way to play a tabletop role-playing game. But I think it's important to note that Wanderhome was actually designed to be not played with a guide or a GM. It is, as it says, it's possible for us to rotate that. And if we were doing a larger campaign, we could wrap up this 2-part story and then I could throw it to one of you and take on a character of my own and we would go from there. It is also entirely possible for there to not be a guide at all and play the game that way. And it would simply be, you know, the 5 or 6 of us just playing characters and taking on the role of other characters in the world as necessary. So while we have chosen, for the purposes of introducing this game to you all, for there to be a guide, you don't have to play Wanderhome that way. I would respectfully suggest that playing with a guide is not even the best way, but that's my own feelings on it. You should definitely pick it up and take a look for yourself and just grab some friends and run with this. And then the last question is there anything else that might come up that we want to watch out for? And this is sort of the catch-all question of, if we haven't touched on something that you really want in the world or you really don't want in the world, this is your chance to sort of say, you know, yes to unicorns, no to shark bees. You know.
I'm sorry, did you say shark bees?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I want that.
I'm interested in shark bees.
Yeah, I'm very curious now.
No,
I saw Anne with the X, so I don't
no
think
shark
so.
bees.
Okay. There are no shark bees. I don't even know why I brought it up. That is a nonsense word and it means nothing. But this is also the time for you to, I mean, it doesn't exclude anything unless you specifically say, like, no, I don't want this. But what it does is it puts the focus on, it lets everybody else at the table know that this is important to you. If you say, yes, I absolutely want this, it's not just something that you hope will come up in the course of play. It's something that you want to have happen and want to come up in the story at some point. So if there is something like that for your character, or just for yourself as the player, then this is your chance.
It's kind of strange to try to think about it right now because right now I'm of the mindset of just let's see what happens. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. I can't wait for our characters to make friends as we're all making friends out of game, you know? Also, I'm sorry, I'm really sappy and sentimental.
Nothing to apologize for. Anyone else? Anyone else have anything they particularly want to add in? Or again, like, no is an acceptable answer. If you don't have anything off the top of your head, we will go where we go and see what we see.
I'm good.
Go on an adventure.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to have fun with my pals.
Awesome. Well, because you have said it, I will now make sure that happens. I mean, I wasn't before. I was going to try to make this as dour and Scottish as possible, but
Game hacks.
yeah. But you've asked for fun, and now I have to put it in.
Thank you.
So talking a little bit about how the game runs. I think I said earlier that Wanderhome is a very narrative heavy game. It is very much driven by the story that the players want to tell. There is, you know, in any narrative, in any journey, in any life, there is a rhythm to how we move through the world. Sometimes we give others all we have to offer, and we find strength that way. And in the game of Wanderhome, that rhythm is represented through the use of tokens. So basically, whenever a character makes a personal sacrifice, or sticks their neck outside of their comfort zone, or even just pays close attention to the world around them, and describes that to the rest of the group, you get a token. More specifically, so that the people at home understand a little bit better how that works. So you get a token whenever you inconvenience yourself to help someone else, whenever you give away something that you hold dear, whenever you pause for a moment and get some rest. Yes, I know that is an unfamiliar concept for pretty much all of us over the last several years. This game rewards you. This game
Personal attack.
rewards you. I know. This game rewards you for getting some rest. Whenever you leave an offering to a small or forgotten god, whenever you speak your true feelings on a subject, whenever you take a moment to bask in the grandeur of the world and describe it to the table, whenever you take a moment to watch a tiny moment of beauty and describe it to the table, and whenever you take a moment to marvel at something no one else has seen before and ask the table to describe it. Now, there's no reason for you to collect these tokens unless you have things that you're going to spend them on. And the tokens work to allow the players to take narrative control for a moment and ensure something that they really desire happens. So you can spend a token to provide a solution for an aspect of a material or immediate problem. Ease someone's pain, if only for a moment. Keep someone safe from the difficulties of the world. Offer someone the chance to connect with you on a personal level. Find what someone needs to give them a chance to change fundamentally. Reveal something hidden about the person in front of you and ask them what it is. Know something important about the place you're in and tell the table about it. Listen to the shared wisdom of the many small and forgotten gods and ask the table what they tell you. And these are some of the, you're not limited to those. Really, it is up to you as the players. It is just a sign of how important something is to you that you offer up a token in order to make it happen. With that, we are going to jump into character creation. Now, we did introduce everybody with their characters, and you can see that folks have dressed up a little bit. So we've sort of already given the game a little way. We did talk about in a session 0 just some very broad strokes. But we're going to go through the character creation process and sort of introduce you all to these wonderful players, to these wonderful characters, and develop more of the world of Haith. That is one of the wonderful things about character creation in Wanderhome, is that it isn't just character creation, it is world creation as well. So this is where we find the tiny, beautiful little details of our world. So we are going to start with Abaddon or Raphia. So tell us your playbook. Sorry, your character pronouns, your playbook, and your animal.
I am a raccoon. My playbook is The Temelier by Matthew Gravelin. And Raphia's pronouns are she, her.
Awesome. And why don't you read out, do you have the playbook in front of you?
I sure do.
Why don't you read out the little blurb at the top about the Temelier?
All who travel must drink, but those who know how to travel well drink tea. You have just the brew for what ails a weary wanderer. You are alive. Your care is piping hot, well prepared, and delicious.
Awesome. And then for those of you following along at home, the sheet asks a number of questions to develop to flesh out the character. There are many Temeliers in the world, but we are focused and most interested in the one in Raphia in front of us. So choose 2 aspects you always were and 2 you think you have to be.
I was always intuitive and patient, and I think I have to be reserved and precise.
Okay. Very nice. All right, and we're going to move on to the next character, which is Sparkle.
Okay, that's me. So Sparkle's pronouns are she, her.
Mhm.
She is a kangaroo using the Painter Playbook by Philippa Moore.
Outstanding. And why don't you read the little introduction at the top?
The colors of Haith change every day. You have made it your mission to capture them all. You are alive. Your care is considered, creative, and perceptive.
Excellent. And then what is your question?
My question says, choose 2 things you are and 2 things you worry about becoming. And so I am eccentric and curious, and I worry that I am becoming a perfectionist and melancholic.
Okay. I'm just writing that down so I have it for later. Mélanger.
All right, that's me. Hi, y'all. I chose the Fool Playbook. I am a little gray wiener dog, and my name is Melage, using she, her pronouns. And I guess I'll go ahead and read my little spiel. So life is an adventure, and there's never shame in learning new things. You are alive. Your care is silly, naive, and more profound than most expect. And my question is, choose 2 you are and 2 you're worried that you actually are not. So I believe that I am funny. Nope. That's good. I believe that I am lovable and brave, but I'm worried that I am not funny or useful. The Fool. Such is life.
Useful. Okay. Oh, we have some wonderful things to dig into. Okay, Lark.
Oh, hi. I am Lark, and I give my she, her pronouns, and I'm using the Dancer Playbook. And oh, and obviously Fox, little Fox. Your inner fire is a song in your heart, not a voice in your head. The world will not quiet you. You are alive. Your care is intense, vocal, and full of light. And my question was choose who you are and who you wish you were better at being. And I picked out I believe I am upbeat and charismatic. And I wish I were a little better at being honest and generous.
Okay.
That leaves me. I chose the Poet Playbook. My character's name is Briar. I am a raven. I use she, her pronouns. And my description is the song of the world is a poem that can be captured by ink and paper, if only you could find the right words. You are alive. Your care is eloquent, observant, and occasionally overwrought. And I had to choose 2 things that people assume I am based on my writing, and 2 that I actually am. And so, based on my writing, people assume that I'm romantic and pretentious, and I actually am casual yet somehow still formal.
Amazing.
Excellent.
I would like to take a moment to note that we just started character creation, and I would literally murder for any of these creatures.
I will update the world notes.
Retweet.
No, not even my character. I mean me, Anne.
Okay. I mean, perhaps you don't want to admit that while we're recording this, but you
No,
do you.
I just mean like, I love them already. Listen, Brent.
Look, I'm just noting the time code so I can insert things out. Always looking out for you. All right. Let's go back to Raffia then and carry on with the characters. So choose 3 or 4 descriptions to describe your look.
Yes. I am going to go with a calm sense of focus, leaves and buds in your hair, tea-stained cuffs, and actually, sorry, dark-coated glasses and an herb pouch.
All right, was that tea-stained cuffs or
It's going to be glasses.
glasses? Got it. All right, and a pouch. Got it. All right. This next one is very important for the sommelier. Choose 3 teas you always prepare and 1 you never.
Okay. For the 3 that I always prepare, Aunt Pat's breakfast blend, which is hearty and filling and can satisfy even someone starving.
Mm-hmm.
This is so difficult. Lilywort, which is medicinal and potent and can cure what ails or make someone mighty.
Okay.
And mellow malt, which is simple and tasty but can reduce anxiety or make someone chill. And for the one that I never serve, I never serve dawn clover, which is sharp and complex and can create some magic or make someone witchy.
Okay. Is there a reason why you don't serve dawn clover?
Because I think people should have a choice in whether or not they're doing magic.
Very good. Very responsible.
I need some of that mellow malt in real life.
All right. Back to Sparkle. So give us 3 or 4 lines to describe your look.
Okay, so I have a paintbrush in my hat, paint-covered overalls, worn sandals, and a desire to capture the moment. That's so cute, actually. I love that.
Worn sandals. Okay. Yes, and then choose 2 things you love to paint and 1 you will never paint again.
So the 2 subjects that I love to paint are colorful flowers, which remind me of my quiet childhood friend, and stories from my inquisitive friend's novel. And one that I cannot bring myself to paint anymore are my hopes and dreams.
Okay. You have an idea in your head about who this friend is?
So I think that Sparkle has like maybe a couple of close friends, but like, you know, Sparkle is friendly to like everyone, right? But only really has like that small group. So it's like a koala and a panda that she hangs out with, that she's grown up with, that are she's super close to, and they are the ones that inspire her favorite art, her favorite pieces of art, you know.
Okay. Good to know. We'll file that little nugget away for later. Melange. What is your look?
Okay, so I am going to start with the complete lack of foresight, because if Jess had foresight, we would be wearing lots and lots of beads, as does Melange. So a little disappointed. Wait for next week. It's going to happen. We have a flower tucked behind my ear, and we also, oh no, that's the 3 that I've chosen. I can read.
3 or 4. So
We're going to go with that.
okay. And then choose 2 things that are true about you and 1 that everyone assumes is true.
Okay, so Melange doesn't know a lot about the world. She definitely hasn't done a lot of traveling. She is from a farm. With that being said, she had a lot of expectations placed on her when she was a kid to work on that farm. Because of her background, she loves being flamboyant and dressing up and being goofy and having fun. And so folks assume that she was spoiled rotten as a kid just because of the beads and the things that she likes to wear. But what they don't know is she loves a good thrift shop.
Okay. All right. And back to Lark.
Well,
Describe.
oh, sorry,
Sorry.
I didn't interrupt you.
No, that's okay. Describe Lark's look.
I am wearing sunset shade robes over some loose fitting pants and lots of golden jewelry. Just I like to stand out, right? And then I have a gleam in my eye.
Nice. Now, is it actual gold jewelry or is it gold-ish?
A little column A, a little column B. Whatever I can pick up, whenever I can pick it up.
That is absolutely fair. All right. And then choose 3 dances you will gladly dance and 1 you will never dance again.
I will happily dance a dance with wild creatures to calm them and rejoice. I love to dance with the plants beneath the soil to inspire them to grow. and I am always happy to dance with my friends to celebrate life and all that it gives us. However, I have zero desire to ever again dance the dance of the deepest dark that bridges the gates of life and death.
Is there an experience that led to that?
I think that just the idea of war having happened fairly recently, I don't think the world needs to linger along the thought of death any longer than it has to.
Absolutely, that is very wise. All right, I'm back again to Briar. So 3 or 4 to describe your look.
Okay. My character is, your typical all black raven, but with just one little white poof right here on the neck. And she's wearing those little glasses that kind of pinch your nose and don't have the things that go over your ears. And I don't know the terms because I don't wear glasses. So they
That's
just are
fine.
like sitting on my beak, and they're the
Yeah.
little tiny frames. I have a hat that's similar to Robin Hood's hat, but with a white feather sticking out of it, not one of my own feathers. I
Okay.
have ink stained feathers, but you would never notice because the ink is black. So you'll notice, but only like if I touch something, and then you're like, where did this spot come from? And I have a fanny pack with my scrolls in it and all of my writing tools. I was going to be a backpack, but ravens don't really have very good body type for backpacks, so I decided to make it a fanny pack instead.
Outstanding. Who is the feather from?
The feather is from a family friend. Someone
Okay.
that was like very supportive of me before I left home.
Okay. And then choose one that you're writing about. In this case, poem. So choose one poem you're writing about, one that is metaphorically entwined, and one that unintentionally crept its way into your project.
So I'm writing a collection of poems, hopefully, about a community that I consider myself a part of that once could be found everywhere. And that's going to be sort of more to do with like my parents and what they do. And I could get into that now if everybody wants, but I think it's better to let it come out in the story.
Sure.
And the thing that's being metaphorically intertwined is a recurring dream that I keep having about a fallen star. And there always seem to be one step ahead of me. And then the thing that's unintentionally creeping its way into my poems is the everyday lives of my fellow travelers, which will be all of you. So y'all are, very influential in my future work. I just don't know it yet.
There you are. Okay. And then we come all the way back to Rafia. So, what is one brewing tool you have always used and one you recently stopped using?
The one that I have always used is Sindel, who is a small and forgotten witchy god. Sindel's an old family friend, I guess you could say, and always heats the water perfectly.
Nice.
The one that I have always used but recently stopped using is a beautiful but very, very damaged set of cups and saucers. It was the first one I ever bought for myself, and I love it to death, but it is not really meant for holding any kind of liquid anymore.
Yeah. Well loved, but unfortunately not functional.
A little too well loved.
Yeah. All right. And then you have a number of questions to pick from to ask of your fellow players. So you will ask one to the left and one to the right. To the left is Sparkle and to the right is Briar. So go ahead and ask your questions.
Sparkle, why did I first serve you tea?
I was feeling kind of stressed about a project that I was working on, and you served me the nice calming tea that you make, and it helped me feel better. And then it made me feel comfortable enough to talk to you about my project. And then it was the day that I stopped painting about my hopes and dreams.
Okay.
And Briar, what brew are you always trying to get me to serve?
I like the one that fills you up a lot. That one's really good. Nothing beats like a full belly.
Love it. Okay. Sparkle. Pick one set of art supplies you can't be without, and one set you never use.
So the set of art supplies that I can't be without is my pocket watercolor palette that was given to me by my passionate and watchful art teacher, Miss Ellie, before I left home. She taught me everything I know about creating art.
Lovely.
And the set of art supplies I never use are the stumpy old oil pastels from my super caring and chill aunts. And the reason I don't use them is because they're like almost used up. I just keep them with me to keep her close, because she was the one that encouraged me to do art in the first place.
Okay. And then you also have a number of questions to ask to the left and the right. To your left is Milage, and to your right is Raffia.
Milage, why do I trust you with my sketchbook?
Well, Sparkle, I'd have to say that you trust me with your sketchbook because I've never torn out a page, even though I've really wanted to after you've sketched me. And I always make sure that no mud ever gets on it.
That's excellent. I knew I could trust you. Raffia, what about my artwork makes you nostalgic?
Well, you like painting flowers, and you just have such a vivid use of color. It always reminds me of the little garden out behind my childhood home. I used to go out there barefoot with my mother and tend to the garden, and in spring the whole thing was abloom, and it always just reminds me of, you know, that time of year when the butterflies start to hatch.
Lovely. Back to Milage. Choose one you carry with you, and one you're pretty sure is around here somewhere.
Yes. So basically, you can always see me with a ceremonial shawl that was given to me by a traveler who, I laugh thinking about this. They decided that my foolishness actually disguises some wisdom. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, somewhere around here, I swear I have a now dull knife that my mama gave me back on the farm. But eventually, you know, in life, I realized that that's the opposite of everything I want to be. And that is why I am no longer there.
Okay. And then you also have questions. So to your left is Lark, and to your right is Sparkle.
Okay. Now, Lark, Could you tell me what I say that you've just gotten so tired of hearing?
I think sometimes whenever you are a little surprised about something, you just like to go, well, how about that?
Oh no, how about that?
and Lark's heard it so many times. I'm just yes, how about that? How about that?
Okay, all right. Thank you for your honesty, Lark. I appreciate that. Now, Sparkle, could you tell me how you got to help me get out of my old home?
Oh. Um. Okay, I need a clarification. Your old home, as in the farm, or
You know,
I don't know what the context of the question is. 'Cause
you know,
I'm just like,
Sparkle, I've had a lot of homes, and I think that you helped me get out of a home that I wasn't really looking to be in. And I don't think maybe that was the farm. I think maybe it was supposed to be
oh,
a
so they
3-day stay, but we made it just a 1-hour stay.
Oh, well, there was that one time that nice little cottage, that bed and breakfast. Um, the proprietors were nice, but they were kind of boring and uninspiring, and I think we were both just itching to find something else to do, something a little more exciting. So we concocted a story. We made something up, really outrageous, because we were bored, and then we just told them we were leaving, a
Well,
week
how about
early.
that? I forgot about that. Thank you so much for sharing.
We told a little fib. That's all. It's just a little fib.
All right. And back around to Lark. So Lark, choose one choose one thing you will teach anyone who wants to learn, and one you'll only ever dance to alone.
Okay, let's see. All right, I will teach anyone to dance to this cheap tambourine that I stole from a very angry merchant who probably still curses my name to this day. And one dance I won't share is the dance I do to a soft and gentle reed flute, snatched from the North Wind God himself. I am trying to teach myself a dance of the wind, and I'm really not trying to catch the attention of a god right now. And I feel like the more people that learn that dance, the more likely he's going to realize what I did and who I am and where to find me and how to get revenge.
That absolutely makes sense. And then your questions, to your left is Briar, and to your right is Melage.
Okay. To Briar, why did I come with you when we left home?
I don't think I would have let you stay.
I love that.
You're an inspiration. The way you dance and move and who you are as a person. There's no way you're not coming.
That's beautiful. And to Melage, when was the last time we stayed up all night to watch the sunrise?
Well, you know what? I hope it's tonight. That would just be absolutely beautiful. We don't do it nearly enough.
Well, how about that?
Well, how about that?
This is so cute.
Outstanding. All right. And lastly, back to Briar. So choose one book you read from constantly and one that you have memorized.
So the one book that I read from constantly is a diary that my mother kept the summer she met my father. Because nothing's more inspiring than a good love story. And the one thing that I have memorized, I actually made. It's a guidebook. It's technically a tiny guidebook full of practical life advice gifted by a local bookseller when I first left home. So this is my tiny little advice book called Pearls of Wisdom. And if y'all ever need some life advice, I'd be happy to share. I have it memorized.
Excellent. And that is a lovely book. All right. And your questions, to your left is Rafia, and to your right is Lark.
Rafia, are you okay with the way I write about you?
You know, Briar, I am. I think it's awfully exciting to be the subject of a poem or included in a poem. And I think, you know, you have a unique way of looking at things, and it's never unkind. Maybe it shows me things about myself I didn't quite notice, but I always feel appreciated by them. So no, not at all.
Good. And Lark, what did your style of storytelling teach me?
Oh, I taught you the interesting way to look at how nature moves and what it says with its various movements. And it gave you new ways to describe things in your poems, gave you a new vocabulary, as it were.
Thank you.
Excellent. So that brings us to the end of the individual character creation. So everyone, these are the characters that we are going to journey with as we carry on with the rest of our story. Does anybody have anything else they want to say to or about your character or other characters?
Yes, I love you all. This is fantastic.
It's so
That's
adorable.
exactly what I was going to say.
Heart's so full right now.
I will say this is one thing that I absolutely adore about not just the Wanderhome game, but the belonging outside of belonging system that the game runs on. First of all, not only is that hands down the coolest name for a role-playing system, like belonging outside of belonging, come on. But that character creation is so intertwined with each other and the world, and you build little bits of the world as you're going. So like we know about, you know, your parents and people you've met before. We have people like the bookseller who gave Briar the book. Like those people exist in the world now, and it's just so wonderful and cool. All right, before we jump into play formally, there are, to round out the ritual of world creation and character creation, there are 4 questions that we have to ask before we start play. 3 of them we will answer together out loud, and the last one will be answered by the players and by the characters in their own head. So the very first question is, what sort of place did we just travel from?
Ooh.
I like the idea of maybe that we just came from somewhere that, at least at this time of year, had really long nights. So that we've seen a lot of stars recently, and it's been beautiful and exciting. But I think we're really excited to see some sunlight again.
Okay. Does anyone else want to add to that?
I think the people that we met there were very kind.
We definitely toured some museums.
Okay.
We were doing the tourist thing. I just had a thought. We were just hanging out, vibing with the townsfolk, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I found some new unusual herbs I want to try. I'm not 100% sure what they do, but there's one way to find out.
Raffy is like, do you want to taste? Do you want to taste?
One of us
Yep.
should have been like a literal guinea pig.
I think the fool definitely raises her hand.
Milage is like, what? You think?
What if
So
one of
good.
those herbs is like called Kiss of Stardust?
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna write that in my notes right now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh.
there probably like was someone like some kind of herbalist or something that we met that was talking about these cool new herbs.
Oh, sure.
Maybe Raphael was like networking with some herbalists and tea sommeliers, just
Yeah.
hanging out in this
Yeah.
town.
Also, just some stuff I found in the woods.
I mean that
Yeah.
too. Uh,
One person's weeds is another person's medicine. So it's
I love that. I
okay.
think, yeah, I think Sparkle at some point does the you know how in like fairs and stuff there's like the artist that just does like drawings or cartoons or whatever of people. I think at one point Sparkle has attempted to do that in the town and just done portraits of people.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So this sounds like it was a bit of a bustling place, at least large enough to hold not only
A
herbalists
museum.
and people and museums, but people who love to look at the stars. So yes, absolutely. It sounds like a wonderful place. So do we feel, this is the next question, do we feel our journey has been long?
I don't think it ever feels like a long journey with your friends. Time always feels too short, and Melage always wants to spend more time with y'all.
I feel like we kind of lost track of time with all of the fun stuff we've been doing. Like we definitely have spent a significant amount of time together, but if you ask any one of us, Sparkle would tell you like a year. Someone else will tell you a different number. Like
Nobody's really counting at this point.
we don't know.
We're just happy that we're together.
Excellent. And the last question not the last question, the third question is there somewhere we hope to go? Another way.
No.
I hope
mean,
to go somewhere warm. It's winter and it's winter at this point, correct? I don't think we mentioned that.
It is, yeah, we haven't
Cold.
mentioned that yet, but we are in Haith is broken up into 5 seasons, and we are playing in the season called Chill. And we're going to be near the end of Snow Blanket, which is the first month of Chill. So it's not quite frostbite yet, but the weather is tending to get cooler.
I think in Sparkle's mind she prefers like the warmer season. So she's like, I love my friends, but I don't necessarily love this cold.
Yes. With my complete lack of foresight, I am not 100% prepared. So I am hoping to either go somewhere warm or go somewhere where I can obtain warmer clothing.
I think Lark is not opposed to going somewhere warm because Lark really likes flowers, and there were some beautiful flowers that bloomed at nighttime in the Starlight Place. However, she is ready for more familiar flowers again, so she is happy to tag along somewhere toasty.
Okay.
Are we just trying to migrate south to find warmer weather?
Bird.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely valid. What do you think? What do you think for
I
Briar?
don't really have like a specific place I'm trying to go. I'm trying to learn to find inspiration where I am. That way I'll never be unhappy where I'm at.
Oh,
Whoa.
beautiful. Okay. And then the final question, we will not answer out loud. We will take a moment for each of you to answer it for yourself. Where is my home? And with the answering of that question and the final question asked, our journey begins after this break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope that you had a chance to look at the wonderful things that our sponsors offer to you. I hope that you had a chance to look at the wonderful third-party content that we're using in this, specifically the Timalier and the Painter. All of the information about how to find those items will either have been on the adverts that you saw during break. We'll also have them pop up in chat. Exclamation point, some clever word that we will come up with, and you'll see pop up there in chat. You'll be able to find that stuff. But now that we've all had a break and have refilled our beverages and refilled our snacks, it is time to carry on with our journey. In books, the start of a story is very obvious. You open a book, and there the story begins on the very first page, and it carries on through and finishes on the last page. Stories are very comforting that way, in that they have a set beginning and an end. We're not telling a story. We are going on a journey. And journeys begin and end related to when people join the journey. We begin this journey in the season of chill, near the end of the month of Snow Blanket. And as the month's name would suggest, the land around us is covered in snow. Everywhere, there is just a white blanket of soft snow and the ongoing song of the wind as it blows across the snow and through the branches of leafless trees. But breaking up this white expanse is a cart. It's a very brightly colored cart. It is being pulled by, if you know what those Highland cows are that are very shaggy and they have bangs, like their fur hangs down over their eyes, so you just see their nose poking out. It's being pulled by two creatures very much like that, except in place of cows, these are giant stag beetles. And so poking out from underneath these sets of bangs hanging down over their eyes is this enormous chitinous horn in front. And they rumble along pulling this cart, the pair of them. Driving the cart is a very large person, very much at home in his element. We see a polar bear, brightly dressed, an enormous floppy hat, which if you observe him long enough, you will see him having to do like similar, every once in a while he will give a little to get the flop out of his face so that he can see properly. Every once in a while he hums to himself. Our journeyers would know this person as Lindsay, a tinker who travels from place to place, that you have journeyed with in the past, you may journey with in the future, but you are journeying with right now. So who wants to tell me how you ended up on Lindsay's cart?
I don't know. What do you guys think? What if Lindsay was someone that we met during our adventure to that one village with the museum? Yeah, I think that's where we met them, in the village. I Does anybody remember what that village is called? Because I don't.
I think it was called Memoria.
Yes, that village.
But all right.
And now I think I actually said, I have some amazing friends that are just amazing artists. What if I talked to them maybe and we did a trade? You give us passage to our next location, and perhaps if my friends are okay with it, of course, I don't want to make them do things they don't want to, but maybe we could offer you a poem or maybe some art. I have a friend that dances, and I also have a friend that makes just the most bang up tea that you'll ever taste in your life.
A trade. I'm always up for a trade. Excellent journey with me, my friends.
In the background of when Milage is talking to Lindsay, you see Sparkle, like, kangaroo ears up, like, forward in concentration and just scribble, scribble, scribble. Like, as soon as Milage said, oh, we could trade, she was already working on something.
You would definitely see me turn around towards my friends and say, well, now I think that we have passage. How about that? We need a counter for that.
So
Yep,
Sparkle,
you absolutely do.
Get one in chat.
Sparkle holds up her sketchbook and says, well, it's a little rough right now, but I feel really inspired by the backdrop of, the season of chill, and just, I was already starting to sketch you a little bit. I hope it's not like weird that I started drawing you.
Oh, Lindsay starts to like adjust all of his clothing, straighten it out, straighten out the floppy hat, which does not cooperate. Zero cooperation. Just as soon as he gets it into a position that looks a little rakish or stylish, it just sort of like, boom. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I don't mind at all. I would love it if you, if you adorned my cart with some of your art. And he slaps the side of it, and he's like, this baby can fit so much art on it. You should. I hope you'll paint as much as you like.
There is a smile that like slides across Sparkle's face, and she just settles into the cart when we're all getting ready to leave, and she says, I get so inspired by the world and nature, and I hope that we can see, or as we travel, I'll gain some inspiration, and you'll have some beautiful art pieces to hang on your cart.
Thank you. Both Jess and, sorry, how rude of me. Both Milage and Sparkle, please take a token. Yes. And there is plenty of room in this cart. This is a cart that is sized for Lindsay, a polar bear. If you have ever seen pictures or film of a polar bear, that is a very large creature indeed. So there is more than enough room for all of you to travel in this cart. And it is actually remarkably comfortable. Lindsay does not mind if you wish to start a fire in the little stove. You will have to do maybe a little bit of cleaning first. Again, being a polar bear, Lindsay doesn't really tend to need a fire going in order to stay warm. Certainly not in snow blanket, and not even in the depths of frostbite the next winter month. But he also understands that not everyone can walk around in 9 feet of fur coat as he does. So, how long has it been since you left your previous stop?
What do we think? Briar, Lark, you guys haven't said anything. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's been too long. I feel like we're still kind of in a chiller area trying to get out of it. So I think we haven't been traveling for more than a few days to a week. Oh, Raffia, I actually got you something back at the village that I forgot to give you. I think they called it shade song syrup. They said it was kind of like a honey, but a little tartness to it. It looked really, really good, and I thought you could put it in the teas. They say it melts real good in them.
Well, Lark, how incredibly thoughtful of you. Thank you. You know, we can try it with that kiss of stardust. We can. I think they'll go nicely together.
I wonder
Make
if
some little tea cakes.
Oh yes, that sounds so yummy. Briar, what did you see anything that you liked?
If it's warm, I'll take it.
My ears go from floppy to straight up when I hear you say the kiss of stardust tea. I am so excited.
What do we think? Around for everybody?
Sparkle says to Lindsay, Raffia makes amazing tea, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I look forward to your beverages.
I reach into my pouch and pull out a thick clump of sort of black, brittle-looking herbs. They look almost more like burnt sticks than anything else. And as I start kind of breaking them up into smaller pieces and grinding them up with my teeny tiny little hands, I say, you know, back in Memoria, the herbalist was saying that Kiss of Stardust only grows in frostbitten ground, so it's kind of rare. You can only get it during this season. So I'm excited. We came at just the right time. Sindel, honey, would you mind helping out with the water? And we'll just sort of look around and wait. And even though the stove has not been cleaned or addressed, a little sort of silver pewtery flame pops up, and I remove like a small teapot from one of my saddlebags and set it on top of the stove and turn around completely. I trust Sindel absolutely.
Excellent. So you don't see this next part, but everyone else does. But you know what's coming. Sindel, the silvery flame begins crackling inside of this stove. And you see the stove transform slightly. It was covered in soot and grime. As Lindsay warned you, it doesn't get used very often. He is almost never cold and prefers his salmon beetles raw. So it almost never sees any use. So it's been a long time since it's been cleaned. But the silvery flame, the light from it and the heat from it, the soot just starts to melt away like a warm breeze across frost. And this stove is now, I won't say pristine. It is still a well-loved and well-used piece of kitchenware, but it is immaculate now. It is clean and tidy. And does your kettle whistle?
It is the faintest sound of bells tinkling.
I love everything about that.
Whenever your kettle does that, Briar's gonna like mimic that sound.
I love it. So there is this, yes, the kettle begins to tinkle, and Briar begins their duet. And tea is ready to be served.
And I'd very almost ritualistically go about pulling little earthenware teacups out of like a special container that I've had made to contain them safely.
Yep.
And make sure that, you know, a scoop for the pot, a scoop for everybody else. And once it's perfect, go around and make sure that everyone has a cup, and an especially large one for Lindsay.
Lindsay appreciates that. You did notice that Lindsay was watching you set up the rest of these little teacups, and had like a little bit of a concerned look on his face, just at the having to deal with, like, you know, like, hold this little but seeing that you're going to serve it in something that is like a little bit closer to size, it still looks tiny in Lindsay's paw, but it is definitely like a little bit safer for him to drink from. And which tea are you brewing? Is it I know you're using the new ingredients, but is this one of your trio of teas, or is this just a tea?
I think that this is probably something new that I'm working on.
Okay.
I've never gotten these ingredients before, so I think I'm kind of spitballing a little bit and throwing things together, pulling sort of weird looking plants out of my bag and a couple of the sprigs out of my hair and grinding them up. And then that is, we don't know what it is yet. And I'm not 100% sure what it's going to do, but none of these herbs are dangerous, so it should be fine.
Okay. Then I think what I want to do is, if everyone is okay with it, I want to go around and I want everyone to tell me how this tea tastes to you. So I'm just going to start with, I can see the layout, so I'm just going to start at the top left with Lark.
Oh, well, I think it tastes very light, almost as if like just little bits of star was resting on my tongue. It kind of dances upon it. The flavor you can't quite capture. It's fascinating. Like, I couldn't say it tastes like this fruit or this flower or this herb. I couldn't quite encompass it because it dances and it moves and it has so many flavors, and it honestly makes you think of the first star that comes out at night. Just that extra bright one that shows off.
Lovely.
Anybody else does.
Lovely. Mélange.
Brent, could you actually tell me what the equivalent of summer is?
Absolutely. The summer in the seasons in Haith is Breathe is the name of the season.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, you know, Raffia, I know I tell you every time, but this tea is just as good, if not better, than the last that you have served. But it really just is reminding me of that first day of Breathe, where the nights are only kind of cool, and they're mostly warm, and you just take out a blanket and you lay underneath the stars, and you're surrounded by the folks you love. That's what this one's reminded me of.
How lovely.
All right. And Sparkle.
I think for me, this, so for me, it tastes like some kind of citrusy flavor. I can't really like pinpoint what kind of fruit it is, but it feels vibrant and exciting and bright for me. And it's just, it has an energizing feeling to me. That's what I get from this tea personally.
Okay.
And I don't
Here's
know
a-
what you did, Raffia, but it's amazing.
Here's a special question for Sparkle as a painter. What color does this taste like?
Oh, I think it's a bunch of warm colors together, like orange and yellow, kind of like splotched together, like haphazardly on a canvas. That's how I imagine it tastes like. Just brightness and in your face, bold flavor, bold color. Like that's the vibes, and it's
Excellent.
different. This is like the first time I've felt like this drinking tea from Raffia. So this is definitely a new thing, right? Because she's been working on this.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And Briar.
As someone that spends a lot of time in the sky, this tea to me tastes like the North Star. And it's good to know where we're going and know we have a destination and be able to get there with good company. And I just appreciate that this tea can keep me in the sky even when I'm grounded. So thank you.
I think in response to that, Sparkle just like puts a hand up to Briar for a high five. Like, I love that.
I have a blanket fully wrapped like as tight as I can around me, so I'll poke a little wing out and gotcha.
Okay.
You get a couple feathers from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Sparkle, when you finish the little hand touch, you do notice that there's like a little bit of just a dusting of black ink on your fingertips.
Oh gosh, darn it! Not again.
Sorry.
She keeps
Here, I've got a
doing.
handkerchief.
She keeps doing this, and like she always just forgets that it happens. And then what she'll do is she'll turn to a blank page in her sketchbook, and she'll just do like a hit, like a pop print or whatever, and then she'll say, "Hey, look, Briar, it happened again."
I love it. I love my page dedicated to me. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, this is your experiment, Raffia. How does this batch taste to you?
It tastes like deep frostbite, the very, very end of the season when everything is cold and still, and the sky is so dark, but you can see stars for miles. And it's like sound carries further in the crisp air of frostbite, so it's a very sensory experience. It's almost overwhelming, but just short of that.
Lovely. Lovely. Please, everyone, take a token. And thank you so much for describing your tea. Lindsay doesn't say much, but he takes a little sip out of this still very small in relation to him mug. Just sort of takes a little. He's like, "Whoa, oh," and like sips it some more. And he's like, "Thank you. This is lovely." Briar, you will be happy to know that along with the silver flame heating up the stove and heating up the thing, now the inside of the cart is getting very cozy. It is a covered cart. You're not exposed to the elements, and so it is starting to get a little warmer in here. Perhaps not up to the point where you feel fully warm. But certainly you are feeling some of the chill come out of your extremities. And it is certainly starting to get a little bit of warm. You can see that Lindsay is and it's sort of in reaction to the warm air that is now wafting out of the front of the cart past him. You do see him sort of doing he loosens his scarf a little bit, and you see him like pat his forehead. But you continue on. Is there anything else anybody would like to talk about with the other characters or describe about the world around you?
Briar, you're gonna have to do that whistle thing for me with the bell noises, because I think maybe if I can like learn a dance to that, then when Rafi is brewing tea sometime, maybe I can imbue that dance with magic to help make the tea flavors more robust. I mean, not that they're not wonderful, but like what if we bring out an extra flavor that way?
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, everybody feel free to join in with your own musical, talents, if you have any, and I'll start trying to do it in a more melodic way that doesn't sound like a tea kettle, but still the same, like, sounds.
Oh, that's
I
lovely.
think at this point Sparkle turns to a different page in her sketchbook and starts kind of sketching Lark and Briar and everybody who kind of joins into the artsy thing. Like just the two of them going off. So everybody's just kind of in full art mode now. Is Lark dancing at this point? Because as soon as Lark starts,
Probably not right now. I doubt there's enough room in the cart for her to really get around, but she's like picturing some moves in her head to do later to this beautiful little crisp bell tones.
is she swaying a little bit? Like, is she swaying?
Oh, she's perpetually swaying a little.
And then Sparkle's gonna say to Lark, has anybody told you you look like you're dancing even when you're not dancing?
Oh, yes, but I always like hearing it. I just it feels good to move, you know?
You look great when you do that swaying thing, and then you see Sparkle kind of try to sway at the same time as you, but kind of not. Well, obviously not as graceful or cool looking as Lark, because she's not a dancer, but she tries to anyway, because she's just like, wow, it's a different kind of art, you know? I mean, I could draw you moving, but it's not like real movement, you know?
I've seen you capture movement in your art before, and I think you do a really good job. It takes some special kind of talent.
Yeah, but I mean, art is beautiful and it's alive in its own way, but it doesn't move like we do. It doesn't move like you do.
Maybe there's some beauty in that. Maybe there's some beauty in something that's permanent and stationary and gonna be there to remind you of a moment that some of us might move past a little too quickly.
She holds up a different sketch because she has like multiple sketches going on. She holds it up and it's a sketch of Lark. And she says, you know, I think you might be right about that. And then she holds up the art like as if to compare. And then she's like,
I like try to make the same pose.
Yeah.
I hold it for all of 2 seconds before I'm back to sway.
Yeah. And it's one of the sketches she was working on back like a week ago when we were in the village and doing sightseeing and stuff. But like,
see, that village is called Memoria because it's supposed to, you know, you're supposed to have memories there. And
I feel like sometimes life goes by so quickly that it's hard to capture all the memories, but I try.
You do a really good job. Somebody has to, because a lot of us, they don't linger in me too long, unfortunately.
Well, between me and Briar, and she looks up to her poet friend, I'm sure that we'll be able to capture moments.
It's at this point that Lindsay sort of looks back over his shoulder and catches the eye of Briar. and notices that you are still huddled up a little bit against the cold, and begins unwinding this the scarf that he's wearing. And he says, "Oh, you're a poet. Would you share any of your poetry with us?" And as he's saying this, he sort of like hands the scarf back to you. And just the size differential between the two of you, it's essentially, this scarf is, in relation to you, it's about like 3 knitted, like king size quilts, like connected end to end. Like it just, he hands it to you expecting you to be able to like take all of it, and you are basically enveloped in this like a little bit battered and tattered scarf, but very colorful nonetheless, and very warm, because it just came off of Lindsay, and you are suddenly like the warmest you have ever been. You have been since the beginning of Chill.
I'll take it and I'll like spin in a circle with it, dragging, and kind of wrap it around in a circle, almost like I'm making a nest out of it. And then I'll pull one leg in and plop right down on it and just be super warm and pull it over me. And I don't have any completed poems yet, so I would hate to share something unfinished and, you know, and somebody not enjoy it. But I'll have you one by the end of the season if you're sticking around.
Oh, well, obviously I can't promise anything, but I don't intend to go anywhere. I hope we are still journeying together when you complete your poem.
Me too. I'm taking all of this in. It's all of my inspiration. So you'll be in it.
Oh, and again, very similar to the reaction to being told that he's being like sketched and painted. You see him, even though it can have no possible bearing on how you write about him, he begins like straightening his clothing again, and you know, tries to straighten that hat. Zero cooperation.
Feel like you have to do all that. You're perfect.
Oh, that's very kind. I don't know that I'm perfect, but I do try. I try very hard. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, even after between the wagon warming up from the stove and Lindsay's scarf, which you get the sense that this scarf is not going to lose heat anytime soon. Lindsay is just like an ongoing like furnace of a person. And so you just settle down into this like very warm, comfortably musty, like very earthy scented scarf, and the journey continues on. After a little while, unless there is anything anybody else wants to interject, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think when folks were whistling to, you know, the chiming and the bells, I think that Melage would have chimed in with a howl and howled for just a little bit too long before realizing that her friends had stopped. But seeing Lark dancing and Sparkle trying, I think that she too would have swayed from side to side, eyes closed, which would have been, you know, the reason that she wasn't aware that everyone else had stopped. You have to have a good howl every once in a while.
Just a little.
Whenever you finish howling and it gets quiet again and everybody's like looking at you, and then you realize that I just say, "Oh, howl about that."
Dead. I have died.
You know, Melage doesn't even have words for that. She just busts up laughing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's the warm laughter that kind of fills the wagon. Like, it's not mean laughter or anything like that. It's just a bunch of friends having a good laugh together.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, there's a moment where you feel like all out of season, that like thunder is happening, and you realize that is Lindsay laughing. The cart vibrates. Lindsay is a fine appreciator of puns, and probably
He is in
laughs
good company.
probably laughs a little longer than really anybody should, but is just so taken with it all. Finishes the tea and gently hands the mug back to you, Rafia, with a little bit of a bow of the head, and then gives a little to the reins, and you see the shaggy beetles perk up a little bit and scurry a little faster on their 6 legs. And the journey continues in this very jovial, now very warm, inviting state. After perhaps another few hours of this, that feeling is still there, but is now quieted down. You are a group of artists, so I'm getting the sense that there is at least a little bit of the introvert in all of you, and so you've sort of settled into something very familiar, which is that comfortable togetherness where you are all together, and you're all aware of one another, but you are all individually creating, and don't feel the need to necessarily involve yourself in what each other is doing unless you want to.
It's a lot of body doubling in the cart.
Yeah, it's lovely. After a little while, the day brightens even a little bit more. It is one of those bright winter days where it is a clear cerulean sky with the sun bearing down. Everything sparkles. Everything has that little bit of everyone thinks of the winter and as being like a very monochrome, but you especially, Sparkle, you know that like winter and the sunlight on snow and how light reacts, there are blues and pinks, and there's a wide range of colors. They're soft, maybe not even always noticeable, but they're there. It is a beautiful, beautiful winter day. And after a little while, you can see just up the pathway from where your cart is rambling along, you can see a house and sort of a farmyard with stables. It is set up close to the side of the road. There is a sign out in front of it. Lindsay turns to all of you and says, what do you think? I need to stop and water the beetles at least. Perhaps you want to look inside and maybe we stop here for the day, or maybe we don't. I'm fine either way.
Maybe we can trade our talents for a nice meal.
I think over the course of travel, Sparkle has at least completed like a set of line art, just because she's been in the zone. Like normally it takes a lot of time, but she's the kind of artist that's like, when she's inspired, she's on a roll, and she lifts it. She lifts up her sketchbook at Lindsay and says, do you think they'd like something like this? And it's a sketch of Lindsay. It's not colored or anything, but it's like, maybe I could offer to do art for them like this. And it's a sketch. Lindsay is looking at a sketch of himself.
There's like Lindsay has this shocked moment looking at the sketch, and I mean, it's a big furry face, so there's no way for you to confirm this, but you are fairly certain that you are watching a polar bear blush. Lindsay is just looking at this and has like an expression of like wonder and just joy, and when he speaks he sounds like a little choked up, and he's like, yes, I think they'd love that.
I tried to get the smile right. I think your smile is the best part of you.
Thank you so much. And quickly turns around in the seat again and gives the Beatles like a little snap of the reins and like
Seeing that Lindsay is kind of trying to turn away, I would pipe up and say, y'all, I'm about as hungry as a fire that hasn't had a log in about 2 days, and I could really use a rest stop. So I would love that if we could.
What is and you see Sparkle like stick her head out of the cart and says, trying to read the sign, and I am going to attempt to read the sign, and it says, you said it was a farm, right, Brent? Some kind of farm?
It has the appearance of a farm. There is very definitely a farmhouse, a stable, and like a farmyard. But there is also like a sign out by the road.
Okay.
So yes, why don't you tell me what's on the sign?
The sign says, the Little Cozy Haven Ranch.
Excellent.
And then she sticks her head back into the cart and says, Milage has a point. Maybe we should, see what this ranch, and she points out the window, if there are people in there that would have us.
Yeah.
The ranch sounds like a great place to practice a new dance.
Yeah. Maybe I can get inspiration from some of the little critters that they've got running around.
Excellent. Yeah, and as you draw closer, you can see it is most definitely a ranch. There is the yard that you were looking at has different varieties of livestock in it. You do see some creatures very similar in form to the shaggy beetles that are pulling Lindsay's wagon. You do also see some creatures that are most often used for riding, the sort of they're longer-legged, almost like a daddy long legs, that are sort of they're ridden very similar to how camels are ridden, that currently they have like blankets on them to protect them a little bit from the cold, but you can see them gnawing away at some grain that's been left out for them and digging into the snow to get the grass that is just underneath the blanket.
I think I look at Raffia and say, now I've never ridden on a daddy long leg before, but I think it would be a hoot and a half if we had a daddy long leg contest to see which one of us could ride from one edge of the farm to the next. What do you think?
Listen, I think that's a great idea. I think that sounds like a whole lot of fun. You know what? And I have that tea that's good for injuries, just in case. So I think we're pretty well covered here.
Well, perfect. I mean, there is nothing that your tea can't fix.
I sure hope not. I hope we never find out if there is.
You see me chuckle, and then just like absolutely just my whole body is like vibrating with excitement just thinking about the daddy long leg race that we're gonna have.
Yep.
Does your tail wag?
I think that my tail is actually a little bit closer to like a cat's tail, where it like kind of like flips around every once in a while, but like when I really get excited, it literally just like vibrates.
Amazing.
Outstanding. All right. Well, Lindsay, acceding to the consensus of the cart, again gives the beetles like a little snap, snuffles a little bit, and then says, "Yes, let's stop and see if we can get some food." And proceeds to drive the cart into the farmyard, and that, I think, is a wonderful place for us to stop, at least for this week. So not a stop, but a pause in our journey.
Taking a breath.
Pause.
Taking.
Even though I
I
have wings.
love this game so much. It's like being in an episode of Little Bear, and that's very exciting for me.
I
Yeah.
missed that show
So
so
much.
much. It was so good. I think I was a little too old for it when I was watching it, but I didn't.
Oh,
care. I was a little
definitely.
too old to be reading Unicorn
That
About
makes you
or
great.
read it.
Emily. Right?
Hey, I honestly, like, if you enjoyed it, then you're not too old. I'm just saying. We are playing Wanderhome, okay?
But thank you
Also
all.
have cozy feels. Sorry, Brent.
No, absolutely, I agree, and I don't mean to step on cozy feels, but I hope everyone who has been watching will come back and join us for more cozy feels next week. It has been such an absolute joy to tell this story with these players, and I hope you'll come back and indulge in more joy in our second session. So before we go, how about we go around and just remind everyone of who you are besides these adorable adorable characters, and where they can find you on the internet. And we will start with let's start with Chrissy.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Chrissy. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet as Chrissy and Keller. I play a lot of games. I don't want to go naming off all the things I'm in because I'll have no idea what I'm doing by the time this airs. So I'll just say that you can find what I'm up to on my Twitter. Again, Chrissy and Keller. And hopefully I will still be also streaming a little on my Twitch. Again, Chrissy and Keller. And yeah, this was wonderful. This was a really nice breath of fresh air, and I'm here for it. Thank you all so much.
All right, and Jess.
Hey y'all, I am Jess. You can find me in most places on the internet at Jess the Human. That's JES, just one of those. Shucks, I play and Fan Gang podcast with Wowzers, which is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast that has like a lot of dancing, debauchery, inner turmoil. It's a lot of fun. You should give us a listen. I do monthly charity streams on my Twitch, as well as play a little bit of Dead by Daylight, a little bit of Beerio Kart. It's a lot of fun. I'd love to see you there. And I also write adventures for the DMs Guild. It's been a while since I have released anything, but I would like to start doing that soon. You can find Murder in Rossbank, as well as quite a few other adventures and murder mysteries by searching Jess Wade on the DMs Guild.
Excellent. Anne.
Hi, my name is Anne. You can find me on Twitter at XO_GirlWonder. Something that I kind of buried the lead on at the beginning of this. This is actually my Twitch channel. The Bardic Inspiration Network is my Twitch channel, and it is my greatest privilege to host this wonderful, wholesome project. I also host a couple of other games on this channel. My friend and partner on this channel. Fairnox runs a Kids on Bikes campaign called Return to Wonderland. Very spooky vibes over there. I also am a player in a Power Rangers RPG campaign on this channel on Friday afternoons called Power Rangers Solar City. Very different vibes, but I get to play a Power Ranger twice a week, which is kind of cool. I am all over the place, but I'm just telling you the important stuff, the stuff that happens on this channel. But if you're interested in finding out more about what I do, Twitter, my personal Twitter is XO_GoWonder, and this channel's Twitter account is the Bard Network.
Outstanding. Abaddon.
That's me. That's still me. I'm Abaddon Kilbride the Fourth, and I am very sad that I have to wash off my raccoon makeup soon to go be a scary vampire, but this has been fantastic. You can find me at Abadarlings on Twitter or at Exquisite CTTRPG, where I am running a series of just very, very strange, broken homebrew games of D&D and mashing things like 10 Candles and Good Society together, and we're having a great time. Right now we have a group that's exploring the Oregon Trail, so if you enjoyed that game at all, come find us on Thursdays. We also have a bunch of very sad, gay, dramatic gods who are playing on Monday nights, and a bunch of flamboyant gays who are playing on Saturday nights. So if any of that's appealing to you, please join us. Yeah, this is wonderful. A lot of the time games take energy, but this game didn't take any energy. This one was just a fun ride with friends. So thanks.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Wowzers.
Hello, I am Wowzers, and most of what you can find about me is going to be on my Twitter. It's at VVOWZERZ. I've got a very nice little pinned tweet with everything I do. Find me everywhere there. And then, like Jess said, we're in a Fang Gang podcast together, Vampire the Masquerade. So check that out for sure. It's really fun. But yeah, this was like beautiful and fun, and like you said, didn't take any energy. I'm actually like energized from this, like it gave me energy, and I can't wait to do it again. Thank you everybody for playing, and thank you Brent for running this. It is an honor.
Thank you. The honor is entirely mine. Well, I have been and continue to be Brent. I am known as Dorklord Canada on Twitter. You can also find me online now pretty much everywhere as Dorklord Canada. dorklordcanada.ca is my website. I also write about tabletop role-playing games and interview people who are doing fabulous, interesting projects at a site called therathole.ca. As for what is going on, I don't know what I'm going to be doing when this airs, other than I know that I am currently working on a project with a friend of mine, Amber, the Space Jamber on Twitter. We have come together and we're going to be doing a project talking about the current state of tabletop role-playing games and how we got here from the history of role-playing games. It is a project that is called, let me make sure I get this right, TTRP Genealogy.
Nailed it.
I know, right? We were stuck for a name, and then Amber DM'd me one day and was like, Sam came up with a name, and it is perfect. And Amber was correct. It is absolutely perfect. So look for that in the new year. It's going to be recorded episodes where we talk to people, where we interview people from the past, present, and hopefully the future of tabletop role-playing games, and sort of see where we came from and how we got here. But thank you all so very much for joining us for Ways and Wanderings, the beginning, a Wanderhome RPG journey. Thank you to our sponsors once again, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.